to share something about your company and the business that you have started. Why don't we start with Joel first?
Thanks. I'm Joel. I'm one of the co-founders of ShopBack. So I'll share a bit of what we do. So when we started in Singapore, we were giving rewards for people to shop online. So that's how we started in Singapore. And after that, we have since expanded to 9 different markets. So outside of Southeast Asia, the markets that we are in would be Taiwan, Australia, Korea, and hopefully more. So I think that was where we started out giving cashback online. But since then, I think we've added new ways that we want to reward customers. And one way was actually through the offline space. So sometimes in Singapore, when you're at hawker centers or different food outlets, we also would be able to use ShopBack to pay for that and get cashback as well. And so that's the second evolution, whereby we try to move towards the offline space and try to bring rewards and get customers to come back and shop with our partners and our F&B merchants. And last but not least, recently we did an acquisition of Hula, I think, which was a leading buy now pay later player. So with that, I think we recently launched that into our app as well. So with ShopBack, you're able to do 3 things. One, you're able to get rewards for what you're spending. Number 2, you're able to pay for your transactions. And last but not least, I think we want to be able to offer buy now pay later products when you do your shopping. And with that allows people to maybe afford things that otherwise they might not be able to afford, because we're able to split them up over multiple transactions over 3 payments. So that's the story of ShopBack from 1.0 to 2.0. Last year we did about 3 billion in GMV for our merchants, and hopefully as we add more verticals, we will be able to drive more sales to our merchants and partners.
Thank you, Grace?
Hi, I'm the co-founder of Ohmyhome, and I'm Grace. A lot of people often ask like, oh, what's Ohmyhome? Is it like 99.co? So I just met 99.co here. So just to be clear, there's a very big difference between us. So a lot of people think like 99.co probably grew, they're our competitors. In fact, we are not their competitors. So if you are searching for a property, you go to 99.co. But if you want to buy your property, you want to sell your property, you want to lease out your property, or to rent one, or if your company is moving to another location and you want us to source for property, that's what we do at Ohmyhome. So our vision when we started Ohmyhome is to be the most trusted and comprehensive property solution for everyone. So we're 6 years old, and today we have really the entire suite of services. I'm surprised to hear that ShopBack has the offline services too. So for Ohmyhome, it's online and offline. So whether you want to do your property transactions online, list it for free on our platform, or engage our services, get the conveyancing, mortgage, renovation, you get it all on Ohmyhome. So that's us. And today we're in Singapore, Malaysia, and Philippines.
Thank you, Grace. Agnes?
Hi everyone, my name is Agnes. I was previously a VP of growth at Ovo, and that's when we decided we saw like a huge underserved space in Indonesia, that is the teenagers. That is why I'm currently working on my startup in Indonesia. Without spilling too much, essentially we are enabling 75 million Indonesian teenagers to earn, save, spend, and track their money. Not only we enable them to be part of the digital economy, we also allow them to start developing good money habits since young, which research has shown to be one of the key success factors for a successful adult, right? I think that's what we are working through. So the company is about 6 months old today, so relatively new compared to everyone here, but hopefully we are going to be launching in Q3 of this year.
All right, thank you, Agnes. Julian?
Hi, good evening everyone. My name is Julian Tan. I'm the founder and CEO of FastJobs. So I started FastJobs when I was with Singapore Press Holdings, SPH. So for those of you who are familiar, SPH is the largest media company in Singapore. So about a year back, I led a management buyout and spun off FastJobs from SPH. So we're running it independently now. So I started FastJobs in 2015. At that point in time, there were a lot of job portals that are covering the white collar and the PMET segment, but there was nothing really for the blue collar non-executive segment of society. So with this in mind, we started something that to target this group of people, and very, very quickly we actually managed to provide a great value both to our employers as well as our job seekers in Singapore, and we subsequently expanded to Malaysia and the Philippines. And following on from our success in FastJobs, we recently launched a new service called FastGig, which is a workforce as a service. So for this, for those employers who are not looking to hire their own permanent staff, but they need people to fill in their gaps in terms of seasonality, we actually provide a hybrid solution for them where if they want to hire permanent staff, they can go on to FastJobs. But if they are looking at part-timers or freelancers or gig workers, FastGig will actually be able to provide a solution for them. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Julian, and thanks to all the founders for a very quick intro of their business. So with the intro out of the way, I'm going to pose the first question for this afternoon's session. Now, we all know that 2020 has been a watershed year with the pandemic as we transition to a new normal. How do you make that right balance with your teams between working from home and working from office? What are the positive and not so positive experiences you have encountered in the process? Perhaps I can call upon Agnes to take a step on the questions before I call the rest of the panelists.
Thanks, Patrick. I think for us, we have decided to all work from home for now. I think the primary reason is that everybody knows Jakarta traffic is probably the worst, one of the worst in the region. So we saw a tangible benefit of shaving 2 to 3 hours of commute time each day. But to encourage to still maintain productivity, we actually do a morning stand-up every morning just to make sure everyone is accountable to whatever they're supposed to do, or actually ask for help if they need one, right? And I guess on the negative side of things was probably the work-life balance. I think I'm sure it's not uncommon to find yourself sitting in front of your laptop and realize it's actually nighttime. And to that, I think one thing that was quite useful for us, we actually use the speed meeting options on GCal, on Google Calendar, where meetings will just end 5 minutes to 10 minutes earlier, depending on the schedule, and that enables us to take some break before our next meeting. I think that little things do help, but I think it's important to acknowledge that burnout are quite real in this stage, especially when you are just stuck at home working.
Thank you. Anyone wants to go next?
I guess I can go next. We've adopted a hybrid approach. I think there's, as Agnes said, there's a lot of good things for working from home. I think the staff actually save a lot of time traveling and they can spend their time better with their families. But at the same time, we felt that it was also good to spend some time together. I think over the last 2 years, it was very difficult for especially newcomers, to onboard them properly. They will come and join the company, but they don't actually get to meet people face to face. They don't get to interact as much as possible. So we decided recently to get everyone to come back at least twice a week, so they get the best of both worlds. I think they can organize their time for work from home, but yet at the same time, they are able to increase interaction, increase engagement, and actually, get to talk to people, get to collaborate better, and meet people in the office as well.
Right. Thanks. Grace, your thoughts? Any thoughts on the topic?
I think the last 2 years has been very challenging for most business leaders. From this complete lockdown, where we are all on Zoom and Google Meet, to transitioning, and then the government says 50%, and then it's 80%. And we have to be very careful with our workforce, especially in the startups. A lot of tech guys are like superstars now, right? They don't like you, they just go to another place and get a salary bump. You have to really, I think it has helped us also learn to have more empathy towards what actually works best for everyone. So as founders, I think for us, we all have the same goal. We want everyone to be productive, to achieve the goals together. Our goal is not to make you come to the office, right? If you come to the office and you're wasting time, it doesn't make sense for us either. So I think there's this balance that we're striking. So currently for Ohmyhome, it's mostly like 4 days at the office, 1 day at home officially. But we have people who work from home maybe like 3 days a week. In Philippines, we have people working from home more often because of the traffic. So now as bosses, we take into consideration the rise in traveling costs. The time it takes to get to the office. Like in Philippines, they can spend like 3 hours getting back and forth, 4 hours back and forth. And I would rather that they be at home. Yeah.
Thanks, Trace. Joel, any last thoughts?
I agree with the pointers. I think one shift we saw that was happening is that we had to measure things a bit more precisely. Mainly because like, if you know, let's say you're away, right? How do you show, how do you measure that work is there? Because previously, like before COVID, everyone is using input KPIs, right? Which is I'm here in office for 8 hours and then we make an assumption that work is done, right? However, like I think hybrid work is here to stay. And with that, then I think there's a shift towards being a bit more measurable, looking at things in a more measurable way. So for example, let's say how many tickets do we expect to be solved by a particular customer service agent? What are the inputs that are expected from certain teams? And with that, I think it makes, I would say it makes the whole company a bit more data-driven. I don't know whether by choice or by circumstances, but generally I think there's a shift towards that because you have to. Because if you're away and you can't travel to certain markets still, even if they're opening up, then actually the only way that you can interact and work together is how can you measure things in a certain way that both sides agree on the benchmarks and then be able to work with that. So I think that was a big shift during COVID.
Thanks, Joel. I'm glad you mentioned the word metrics because that helps me to create a segue to a question specifically to Julian. Julian, you've been at the helm of FastJobs for 7 years. Right? Starting off with just 6 employees, you have built this team by 10x, right, to 60 employees that span across 3 countries. You definitely have a wealth of experience building successful teams and helping other companies to do so. So I want to get your thoughts, right, on progressive methods, employers using progressive methods and matrices instead of conventional ones to build a future-proof and dynamic team in a fast-paced economy. I want to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, so for us, hiring right is the most important. So conventional methods will probably focus on skill sets, look at your CV and see how you perform at interviews, maybe set you a test to test your skills or your knowledge on certain technical aspects. But I think in today's world, especially in startup and tech, we need to go beyond that. I think we need to start hiring, or rather we've been looking at a couple of characteristics which we feel are very, very important. So one is actually hiring for passion. I think gone are the days where you just hire a developer who will just come in and code from 9 to 5 and then go home after that. For us, not only does a developer need to have good skill sets, he needs to be able to also have a passion for the vision of the company, to get a buy-in. And for that, for example, for our developers, not only developers, but everyone in the company, regardless of the role that you were hired for, we want everyone to be involved in the vision of the company. So the vision for FastJobs is to create equal access to job opportunities for everyone. So what does that mean? So we need our people to really understand and empathize with our job seekers. So for example, when we have organized a job fair or when we have road shows, we actually get everyone down on ground to actually interact with the job seekers, interact with the employers to actually understand the needs of both sides. So even though we were not able to do this for a while now, but recently in Malaysia when they opened up the Pasar Malams, which is the night markets, we managed to get all our teams down. They were, especially the new ones, I think they got a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of great passion, just talking to the job seekers and finding out how can we do better in helping them to look for jobs. So that's the first thing, passion. The second thing which I feel is very important as well is the team dynamics and hiring people who can work as a team and not the individual contributor. So for us, what we do is that as part of the whole interview process, we will actually get the candidate to be involved in a workshop with the rest of his prospective team members. So for example, if we are hiring for a developer, we would throw the person into a workshop together with a product team. So the product manager will be there, the other developers will be there, as well as a designer. And we will throw them a problem to solve. And we will then see how the candidate interacts with the rest of the team to see whether the person has good depth in thinking as well, and also to see whether the person knows how to work with the rest of the team. So chemistry is also something that is very, very important because we can hire the best coder in the world, but if you can't work with the others, I think he won't be able to create the kind of products that we want. And finally, the other important thing is the cultural fit. So for startups especially, we're looking for people with not only with passion, but someone who's very adaptable, because I think everyone here who's been involved in startup knows that there's still a lot of messiness, a lot of things that we have to be very, very flexible and dynamic as we go along. So for me personally, I would take it upon myself to actually interview every single hire that we recruit to ensure that the person is the right cultural fit for the company.
Alright, thanks Julian. Very enlightening. I'm going to move on very quickly to Wei. Now Wei, you are the co-founder as well as the Chief Product Officer of Ohmyhome. So what does the current team structure looks like? Which are the teams within your company that are responsible for driving growth? And how do you enable the teams, those teams, and the people within those teams to succeed in that role?
Currently, the team structure, definitely we have, from front to back, which is our sales team, the operations team, marketing team, and then the tech team. So for every single country that we're in, we'll have the sales, marketing, and operations, which is separate. And then the tech team is it covers all territories. And of course, every single department, they have their own KPIs to meet, capacity models. So for example, for our sales team, to give you some context, we have 30,000 agents in Singapore, but every single year there are only about 40,000 transactions for sale. So that means if you divide in general, every single agent will only have 1.2 deals per year. So when we first started out, per agent, they were closing 10 deals a year. And then it became 30 deals, 60 deals, and now it's 82 deals per year. So we have a really small team of 11 agents in Singapore, and each agent is closing 82 deals. So this model is actually unseen, of course, because of technology, of how we improve this efficiency. So that's an example of how every single team has their growth target to reach. But I think that the other way that is very effective for us is more like a top-down approach where we look at our goal. So as founders, we always pitch to investors, right? 2025, we want to be there. And to get us there, there are 4 ways to get there, right? Firstly, platform traffic. Secondly, into more markets. Thirdly, customer lifetime value. How do you have this customer come back again and again, spend on different things? And then lastly, how can we better engage and ensure that our products and services are of a higher customer satisfaction? So with these in mind, then we have this product managers that are really driving the growth. You can have a lot of these town hall where you share about what the company is doing, but really it's always down to the products that's able to drive growth, and then the product manager must be the one that's always reporting and chasing everyone. Yeah.
Alright, thank you, Grace. I'm not sure if any of the panelists would like to chime in to what Grace has shared. Agnes, anything to chime in?
I guess it's quite different for us because like being a new startup, right? You're just trying to get from 0 to 1, and I do agree with Grace with regards to just setting the vision. Like setting the vision, this is the goalpost that we're supposed to achieve. But for us, at least, growth really boils down to our product, and growth isn't really a function for us, but rather a mindset that everyone have to work towards that end goal and deliver it. So I guess there are some similarities, but some differences as well, given the size of the startup.
Okay, cool. John, anything to add from what Grace and Agnes has shared?
I think it makes a lot of sense because once everyone together as a team, that helps a lot. Like I think the ones I think on our side that we try to do is from the vision till the execution. Somewhere along the line, sometimes there's some breaks, and like the times where we were 30 men or 50 men, that was like the best time because we just walk over and just say, hey, sorry, what you mentioned just now, and then I don't agree or I agree, and then we move forward. And then now it is like 800 people and you're across different markets, and that makes it much harder, right? But I think what we try to do, and we cannot eliminate that totally, but we try to put in some mechanisms whereby if there are any breaks or disagreements or some flaws, like what are the escalation points that you can bring up and say, hey, we want to do this, however our resources are going to bring us here, so there's this gap, like what are we going to do to bridge this gap? And I noticed that with that mechanism that helped us reach the goal more likely than not.
Okay, good. Can I just follow up with what you just said, right? With a question to you. Now, as a co-founder of ShopBack, from the early days to scaling big, right? How has the team evolved? As the company grows, there's a lot of expectations on efficiency and streamline. How did the team change, right, to adapt to it?
I think like when we were the much smaller startup, like we could change things very quickly, and that's because like we also like from 0 to 1, like Agnes mentioned, we were not sure what we want. We have a rough general direction of where we want to be, but how to get there we're not sure, right? And then in between we would try a lot of things, and then they fail, and then we tweak along the way. So that was how it started, right? Then as the team got bigger and there are different countries added on, then actually what happens is that we now start to come up with processes and things to make it more streamlined, more efficient, and to make less mistakes. So that's good, right? Because as you expand, you want to make sure you make less mistakes. You have sharings of best learnings, best practices, and then how you can replicate that in a different market. But one thing when we had to trade off with that was actually the early spirit of the 0 to 1, whereby we were breaking things and then doing things differently. Because there is SOP now. There is there are things to do and things not to do, and it's not common for people to say, hey, why are we doing this or why are we not doing this, right? So then I think one thing that we try to do to manage the trade-off is that SOP and processes I think are important as the team grows, because you want to make sure that there are always escalation points and ways that you can get things done in a scalable fashion. But then I think what we try to do is two things. One is we try to have a leeway for experimentation, meaning that if you fail, that's fine. So when we evaluate somebody or someone, when we look at it, if the person is doing his role well and he's able to do 10 or 20% of things that are out of his range, and even if he fails and lose money on that, that's totally okay. So that I think allows people to be able to experiment and do things differently. If not, you always just follow SOP, right? And then if you always follow SOP and doing what you're supposed to do, then mathematically you should get the same type of results, right? If you want to get like uplift, then you got to do something differently. And to do that something differently, then it's about making sure that they are allowed to fail. And what we try to do is either localize it, meaning that local countries can make their decisions without regional teams having a final say on everything. And the second thing is that you can do your job well, and if you hit like 80% of what you're supposed to do, that's totally fine. And then now you can go do other experimentations that you don't have to get buy-in from us, and you can do it, and you can tell us when you are successful, and when you fail, let us know the cost, right? And that makes it much easier for things to be able to move forward and have a balance between scale as well as the entrepreneurial spirit that we really hope to still have in the company.
Well said, Joel. Well said. And by the way, I like the term that you and Agnes coined 0 to 1. Apparently, there's also a book written by Peter Thiel. Yeah, he called it 0 to 1 as well, right? Okay. So the next question is actually to Agnes, and it has a little bit to do with your 0 to 1 concept. Now, from the time you were running growth at OVO versus growing your business now from ground zero, as to, is there any difference in terms of the growth team, right? And how does it impact the structure of the team as well?
Yeah, so like I was saying earlier, and just to add on to Bill's point, I think for when you're, I think the team are completely different. So to answer your question, the team structure is completely way different. When you are 0 to 1, like I mentioned, it's all about the product we're building. And point number 2, which is super important, is trying to understand what value it delivers to your users. Because if you have a product and nobody uses it, there is no company, right? So, and I think to get that understanding of the value of our product, I personally make it a point to speak to 5 teenagers and parents every week, and I push my team to do the same, be it users, non-users, but we are just trying to find out what exactly is their pain point and how can we better solve it for them, right? And after finding those insights from the users, we would then test things out, like we would probably have to say, so test it. I think the goal really for a small company is to just get things out there, try, fail quickly if you have to, and then just really iterate from there, right? I think that's the spirit, but so it is completely different to when I was with OVO, which is a unicorn, which is probably have achieved product market fit, have sustainable tractions, and growth for those companies of those size will be mostly about scaling things, and make it more efficient with every single dollar we spend, way more efficient. And of course, we can do it using some of the tools that the organization provide, like MoEngage to do optimization of customer journeys, messaging, and whatnot, amplitude for product funnel tracking, but all those are more incremental, and just trying to do something totally outside the box, right? And of course, with big companies, you tend to hire technical leaders also. Like a good growth team should consist of product, marketing, digital folks, and each of them should focus specific on each growth area. I mean, product growth would be one, just trying to optimize the core growth flows, user onboarding. Growth marketing will probably focus more on spending, optimizing spend, and then the digital folks will focus mostly on defining metrics and then reporting them so that the leadership, the entire organization, in fact, will be able to be focused on that particular metrics that actually drive growth for us. I guess that's what I...
Right. Well said, and thank you so much. And this question is going out to all panelists, right? From your journey of creating a team in a hyper-growth organization, what are your learnings and what are the potential pitfalls to avoid that you can share with the audiences? Why don't I get Julian to start first?
Okay, maybe I'll just share 2 areas that I've learned over the years. So the first one is do not settle for second best. So I think a lot of us, when we are recruiting, we always probably want the person yesterday. So there's time pressure to actually hire as quickly as possible to fill the gap, whether it's a replacement or whether it's a new hire. So sometimes, when we are in such a situation, we may not be able to find the right person, but because we think, I think maybe a warm body is better than none. So we say, okay, we'll just lower our expectations and hire. But I think this always comes back to one person. So I think it's better to wait for the right person, the right candidate, than to just settle for second best. So that's the first lesson.
I feel like you're speaking to me.
Yeah, then the second one that I also learned in hiring is I think we need to cut losses early. So if a person is not working out for whatever reason, I think it is maybe best, and even fair to both parties, to apart amicably rather than to try and force the issue and let things actually turn out badly over a longer period of time, because that can have a negative impact on the rest of the team. So if after a couple of months you realize that this working relationship is not working out as planned, then I think we should just cut our losses early and move on.
Thanks, William. Agnes, do you want to chime in?
I guess I do have one point to share. From my time starting up teams in large organizations or currently starting up a company on my own, right? I think probably one biggest thing that I always do is that I always have a plan. Like, I think it's common to fall into the pitfall of not having a plan because of the lack of historical data or all the uncertainties out there. But I do think that forcing yourself to just think ahead and what are the potential issues that might come about, like helps you to come up with contingency plans also. So, and it also help tell the team, hey, this is where we are going to go. So at least they have a purpose that they are working towards, and hopefully they will all work towards the same direction rather than figure out that hey, this is blocking us. Might as well prepare for it now.
Thank you. Grace?
When it comes to building teams, so just now I was talking about we have different teams, and then inside the tech team you have the iOS, Android, and then sort of backend and web team. And what I learned about driving growth is that there must be cross-functional team collaboration, so that the tech team understands the pain point of the ops team and the sales team. Because tech team, they'll never ever really see the customer. They can track all they want, but they don't understand the customer like the frontline guys. So cross-functional team really helped us improve on our product. And on the other point on product, because I'm the chief product officer, we're always looking and thinking about new products to build. But one major pitfall is that I didn't invest enough time in MoEngage. That's why I'm here, because actually initially I called them to complain. Because I'm not getting enough support, but actually really it's because we didn't really focus on it. So if you were to focus on the customer journey and to engage your customer, and then you would not be spending so much money to acquire new customers. So I think this one, everyone can actually benefit from a better customer journey.
Thank you, Grace. Well said. Joel?
Well, I think for hiring, maybe I just add in 2 or 3 points. So I think I agree a lot with Julian's points, right? And just add on a few. So one is, I think we gave us the type of jobs that we're looking out for, right? So the first one would be is that a senior role or it's a more entry-level role? So I think for entry-level role, I think you really just need somebody that is very passionate, open to learning, and then be able to teach them and get them up to speed, right? Then the other one that you think about is for senior roles or people that are managing groups of people or managers, one part that I would say would be very important would be they likely have been there and done that before. So it's less of having the fun to do that, but more of they have done that before. And that makes it much easier because when teams are working under them, then they expect to be guided, right? And if you've been there and done it before, I think the direction you can give is going to be much more expected. Mistakes are going to be lesser, right? Rather than a really, really smart person that's never done that before, they might not know what they do, even though they're really smart and really good and really motivated. So that's the first one. Being able to segment the types of jobs that you're trying to hire for. Second one, I think COVID has actually changed a little bit of the type of profiles you're looking out for. I think one thing that I'm looking out a lot is really the staying power of that candidate as well. Staying power meaning if you look at the past resume of the person, right, and let's say most the candidate has been there in a new role or new job every year, then actually for me that minus some points, right? And the main rationale is this, right? To replace somebody in COVID, think of it this way: you hire someone, you to get a guy up to speed within 3 to 6 months, and then let's say they quit. There's a 2-3 months notice period. So actually, if the person is here with you for a year, then actually you have the person you train the person out for 6 months. The person is able to work with you for some time, and then the last 2 months is the wind down period, right? So 6 plus 2, that's 8. So you get 4 months. Out of a year, you get 4 months of that person after training them. So one part we look at is like really what's the staying power of that candidate. And it's not like we're not saying that, let's say someone for the past 5 jobs is like a 1 year stayer, and then maybe with us they can stay very long. That's also possible, but I mean, we are playing the cards for them, so it's a probability game, right? So probability
Yeah,
wise,
I kind of want to avoid those candidates as well. Like every time they job hop, they get an increment, but then like every year you're job hopping.
yeah, I mean, and I think there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that for us, like if we want to invest in them and growing them, then actually it's not that it's bad, and that's their full right to do so. It's just that for us, we're trying to build a team, right, and trying to build team stability. So actually, for someone that actually might be a lousier candidate but have more staying power, I actually might add some points to that.
Yeah, so what is the magic number here we're looking at as far as tenure is concerned? So what is considered a reasonable tenure in today's context?
I think 2 years is, I don't think 10 years is reasonable, but I think 2 years is fine. And I think it's also looking at his track record, right? Because like sometimes it's true you go to a job and it doesn't make sense for you, it's better to quit, right? It's just that if it happens for 3 to 5 times, then it's either all the companies by probability has a problem, or maybe the person that's going there has a problem. I don't know. Yeah, maybe.
So let me throw you another question, right? So by the same token, right, would you penalize a candidate if this candidate stays forever in one single company?
I think there's no penalty. There's no penalty in that. I think it's just more like when you're building a team, look at the job scope, right? If let's say you need that, let's say the person's going to build, for example, a product, right? And so if let's say the person's going to take 1 year to build a product, and then the person's going to leave, it's going to be quite hard to, because someone else is going to come in here, try to understand the product and try to review that. Yeah. So I don't think there's any penalty, or even stay for a long time. I think that's fine. I think for me, we're not trying to see who stays longer. It's more like, would they be able to stay for a minimum period of time that will be able to build team stability? That I think would be the second one. And I think last but not least is just optimism versus realism. One part I think one learning from me over the years is more like, let's say sometimes we interview someone and then we have a certain optimistic view of what we think the person can be, right? So we say this person's here, but then maybe with what we do, we can bring the person there. And that's actually possible. Like we've seen candidates that do that, but based on probability, like you cannot always base on that, right? So being able to be realistic on what's possible also sets them up for success. Because if you're thinking that the person's going to be here, but they're actually here, you're setting up a person for failure because you really putting them on a massive stretch of what they can do, right? So being able to be realistic of what you expect from them helps you to, I think, handle the types of candidate you're trying to get. At the same time, also manage expectations for them when they come in, so you don't have unrealistic expectations of them. I think that helps to build a much better team.
Thank you for that very insightful sharing. I think we have time to open the floor for one question, shall we? Ladies and gentlemen, if you have any burning questions that you would like to ask the panelists, could I kindly ask you to raise your hand, and colleagues will make their way to your seat with the microphone. Do we have any takers? Or we have? There we go. Yes, we have a gentleman over here. It's on the right hand side. Thank you.
This question is a general question for all the founders. Right? I would like to have an enlightenment from them if they have any thoughts about this stock-based compensation as they grow the company and hiring of talent.
Also, who wants to take? I think that's a very good question. Anyone wants to give it a step first?
When we first started Ohmyhome, we started with a group of us, like the first batch of staff members who joined us. We call them the Ohmyhome Team 1. So they are all given stock options, ESOP. And then fast forward, now that we're 6 years old, out of this group of 8 people, 3 has left us. And what I noticed about this is when we first introduced that, one of our investors who's like a veteran, he's run his successful business, he told us that ESOP is not going to retain your employees. It is the engagement with the employees, it is what you make them feel motivated with this consistent work with them that will retain them instead of ESOP. And through my experience, I have the balanced mind that's still with us, which I find that there are the people I can always lean on. But I do have new joiners who have joined me in the last 2 years that are outstanding, extremely good team player without ESOP. So I'm not sure. I think that it helps, but it's not the absolute thing. Yeah.
Thanks, Grace. Agnes?
So I guess for us it's a bit different. I think we are quite early, so we do look at ESOP as a little different. We do it we use it as an acquisition as well as a retention method. Acquisition in a sense where the candidate that we want to bring in probably has way higher salary or compensation than what we can offer. So we use ESOP as a delta to just make sure that the candidate didn't not much. I think everyone when they job hop, they are definitely looking for a raise, right? So we use ESOP as the delta. And then another way to look at it is that I think now we are up doing our first performance appraisal. We also do up ESOP for a way to retain those the team members, especially the performing ones, because we are trying to build a company here, right? So I think it's important to have everybody who share the same vision. I think a bit lucky for us is that a lot of our team members are customers themselves. They somewhat have faced the pain points, thus they believe in the solution. But then again, we do think that having that financial component, having belief in the same dream and trying to make it up there will help motivate them. So that's why we also do ESOP as performance.
Alright, thank you, Agnes, for giving it a different speed. Joel, want to give it a stat as well?
I think it's just different stage of the company, then we have to react differently. So at the start, when we started, we had no cash, right? So actually, I remember the first few months we were offering 5% of ShopBack for the first year of marketing. So it's just giving out chunks of the company because we had no cash, right? And it was really nothing at that point of time. So then then the salary that we were giving definitely was below market rate because like we were a startup, right? So at that time, cash was actually stocks were actually overweighted. So we gave a lot more stocks, and those that joined early and stayed and invested them actually now are pretty good. Yeah, pretty good for them. But they had to take the hit right at the start because they joined a company that could have shut down anytime, and they were taking a lower than base nice. As we grew and as we raised a bit more money, then we had a bit more cash at hand, and that's where the disparity changed, right? Whereby we were able to make sure that salaries were market rate, and so they're not taking too much of a cut, right? To join us, it's similar, and then equity becomes an upside for them. So it's like whatever you're getting, you come here, you can get the same. But then now maybe you're in a startup, there's the upside for you as well. Then as we got on to the later stages and raise more funds, then actually sometimes we overcompensate, right? Which is that you can pay a little bit more of a market rate for certain roles, and even the equity now that people prefix more value to that. Maybe because it is valued by other investors that they respect that these stocks are worth something. Because at the start, even the very early guys, until now, so at the start, the stocks to them were really what they believed in, but actually nobody was putting prefixing a value on that. Nobody knew how much that was worth at all, right? So that was something that they had to buy with it. And then over time, as more investors came in, and then there was a price that they put on it, Rakuten, Singtel, Temasek, when they put a price on that, then that becomes a bit more, not saying it's right, but I'm saying that it's more likely that price has a bit more value to that. And then people get more open to accepting that in view of compensation. Right? So I would say it's a stage by stage basis, and at each stage, the trust level that the employees or the want of that changes. And I would say there's a trade-off for either one. The early batch had a lot, but then they had to take a lower starting base, right? And then it worked out for them, but at that time, who knew what was going to happen to ShopBack? And then the later stage ones, then it's a different story altogether. So it's just trade-offs at different stages of the company. Yeah. And we just had to react with how much money we had in our pocket, not by choice, but by the customer that we.
All right, thanks, Joel. Julian? I let you have the last say.
Actually, they've said everything that I wanted to say. Yeah, I mean, I generally agree with them. We do use stock options as a recruitment tool, because I mean, we're also at a stage where we don't have a lot of money to hire. I mean, definitely cannot compare, with ShopBack. If let's say you're hiring the same position, but I also agree with Grace that at the end of the day, the stock options is not a retention tool. I mean, you have to engage the employee. You have to make them feel that they are empowered. You must make them feel that they are part of that whole vision and mission that we are trying to build. So yes, I mean, we do use it. I think it's useful, and I think that we need to. But I think in order to retain talent, it has to go beyond that.
All right, I think we probably can wrap this up. Thank you so much for all your insightful sharing.